I'm maybe the first cinematographer. I'm only the second president of the Academy from what they call the crafts. The first one was Gene Allen. He was a production designer, art director from 1983 to 85. And for most of the last 20 years, our presidents have been in public relations. There was a producer, but you know, they're usually people that are not on the set actually making the movies. There have been some directors, a few writers. So I do bring a perspective as somebody, what we call in English, in the trenches, you know, of actually being a soldier, fighting the wars to make movies, actually make movies. And especially, as you know, the cinematographer is on the set, you know, sur le plateau, all the time. You know, the director can walk away sometimes, the actors, but the cinematographer is always on the set. So I'm used to total immersion in it. So I bring that perspective of somebody who has spent 50 years making movies. I began as a camera assistant, then a camera operator, cadreur, and for the last 30 years as a director of photography. So it's just a different perspective. I came to it, the fellow governors, I think, elected me 2 years ago because for the 3 years before, I was a vice president, and my responsibility was working with the Herrick Library, the Academy Film Archive, the programming, history, preservation, you know, these things that are very important to those of us who make movies. We want our movies not just to be advertised and distributed and exhibited, we want them preserved for the next generation. So I brought that history with me. And I think the rest of the governors who elected me felt it was a perspective and a value that needed right now, because we are transitioning so much to digital. And despite what people say, digital preservation is an oxymoron. Ça n'existe pas. The only archiving is on film. And we are leaving film behind. So it's very important to me, and at our lunch today, we spoke with a number of French filmmakers how important the French recognize, very importantly, the need, the necessity to preserve our history of cinema on film for the future. So that's what I bring. That's why I think I was elected. It's what I have tried to do for 2 years, what I will continue to do when I go back and start to work again as a chef opérateur. Well, yes, we've made a change. Last year, for all of the members outside of the United States and outside the United States, the short list of, it used to be 9, this year we will go to 10 films for the short list, the second phase, will be streamed internationally. So, you know, the thousands of international members will be able to watch them online and vote. Was asked by an international member last year, is it possible to stream all of the films for the international members on the what we call the first phase? It's very complicated in terms of the rights. You know, last year there were 87 countries that submitted. Maybe next year there will be 100. That's a lot of films to try to stream. Last year, our new members, we had 927 new members. 50% of them were from outside the United States. You know, members that have been making, you know, filmmakers who have been making films for decades, such as a director who has a film here, Marco Bellocchio, who made Fists in the Pocket, Fisti in Pugni, in 1965. You know, we've offered him a new membership. I mean, this is crazy. We have such talent. I offered a membership last year to the great Hungarian director Béla Tarr. You know, these are filmmakers that should have been members 20, 25 years ago. My relation to French cinema is too emotional to speak about. You know, the history goes back to when I was in film school in the mid-1960s, and it was when all the Nouvelle Vague films were being shown in Los Angeles, all together in like 2 years, dozens of them. You know, Godard, Chabrol, Truffaut, Malle, Romer, Rivet, you know. It was just an incredible period. And Carol was studying in France in 1962-63. She used to go to the Cinémathèque, to movies at the Cinémathèque, when it was in the basement of the Palais de Chaillot, you know, and she would see les réalisateurs de la Nouvelle Vague, you know, Truffaut, Godard, Romer, at those screenings. The French New Wave were looking at American B movies from the 40s and 50s. We were looking in Los Angeles, my generation was looking at French New Wave films, and through them looking back at American B cinema. So, you know, it is a connection. It's a shared bloodstream between France and America that is so important. It gets to the heart of our love of French cinema, going back before to the silent days or early sound. You know, like Renoir's Tony was shown here in the classics, an incredibly important film. And of course, Renoir had a career in the United States as well. Julien Duvivier had a career. So many of the classic, you know, French filmmakers back and forth. You know.